Good evening, everyone, and welcome to FGM eCast presents ANZCAR Grand National Series tonight from Pocono Raceway. I'm Stuart Brown, and I will be your host as usual for this evening. And we've jumped in with around 4 minutes to go in the practice session for this evening's race. Well, the question on everyone's lips is, can anyone beat Edward Foster for the win tonight? He is looking for 4 on the trot. He's had 8 out of 11 race wins this season. And the absolute dominant person in this series. Thanks for joining us, Scale. We appreciate your support as always. And we're just talking about your man, Edward Foster. And we're seeing whether or not he can bring home the 4 consecutive wins for the second time this season, so looking forward to seeing whether or not anyone can beat him tonight or not. Hamish Gallagher is our current second place sitter on the table with Matty Raymond in third. We've had a lot of participation in this series over the season, and at this stage tonight looking at around about 13 drivers who've turned up to compete at what I believe is nicknamed the Triangle. So we've got an interesting track here tonight with Pocono with 3 corners. The track itself is just on 2.5 miles long, and the reason it's called the Triangle is we have a big looping oval at one end, turn 1. The main straight, or Long Pond Straight is what it's called, followed by Tunnel Curve, and then down into the Big Bend as the last corner of this racetrack. So a slightly unique racetrack, and it does have a, apart from the oval section in inverted commas, it does have other functions with a devil's elbow that takes you onto an infield track as well. So multi-purpose circuit, as a lot of these places are, and as we just see Jason Harding in there just getting a little loose right at the end. This is a little bit normal for these guys. Always tried to do the flick spin in reverse, but hasn't quite made that around. So it's going to be a big race tonight for the guys here at Pocono. So looking forward to bringing you this one as we get towards the tail end of this series, which is a little disappointing, but catching up a little later on with the series organisers to see what they are going to be looking to bring us, or allow us to bring you, I should say, beyond the end of this series season end in a couple of weeks' time. So I've got a 70 lap race here tonight, and we've about a minute away from qualifying for this round. As I said, 13 of our drivers driving tonight to get through this one. Next week we head to Michigan, and then last but not least to Watkins Glen for the circuit race. Matty Hunter having a strong performance last week, so looking forward to seeing how he goes as he does some dancing for us at the end of his lap before we get into solo qualifying. We've got a couple of new liveries tonight as well, which I'm a bit excited about. I got a preview of one of them just before we came to air, and I'm just trying to find where that image was. We've got a new Castrol livery out on track, and it just so happens that it actually is my favourite racing livery, and I think given that I've said that, you'll know which one I'm talking about, and it is the very, very now famous Australian-based Castrol livery of Larry Perkins being run on one of the cars here tonight. Just trying to bring that on screen. Yes, it is the Perkins Castrol. Scotty, you are absolutely spot on. That is my favourite race livery, and definitely looking forward to seeing that out on track. I saw a little glimpse of it there at the tail end of practice, and looking forward to it. So we're about to get into 5-minute solo qualifying here. So we're looking for purple sectors. As always, purple sectors is what we are hunting with the qualifying session. So we'll bring that up on the screen for you so that you can see what's going on. Just waiting to see these drivers come through. So one car out on track, but they all are out on track at the same time. So they get a clean run at it. Probably most important in oval track racing more than circuit racing, because you don't want drivers artificially inflating their times by using drafting to their advantage, which does play a big part to how these cars perform. So if one car gets the advantage, manages to bump himself up the list a little bit, look, it does introduce some strategy to it, but certainly not the aim of the game here. So what you'll notice is the car on screen will jump around a little bit. We've jumped on board with the fastest car, or a car on an exciting sector. So Hamish Gallagher here, we've jumped on board with a very, very strong performer in this category. Last week, starting out of pit lane and still managing to get right up to the front of the field. We had issues with tyre wear, and actually 3 drivers suffering blown tyres on the last lap of our race last week. So they'll be looking to manage that right-hand front corner tyre on the car this week. So Joshua Carroll-Walden in a purple sector, or 2 purple sectors there. Just jump back on board with him. He will just touch the wall there, which will invalidate that lap. We've got Mirko Daltanic as well. He had a great race last week until a blown tyre did take him out of the race towards the end of it. And he is on a fast lap as well. Only 2 sectors on the track tonight, so don't have a lot of information to bring you there. We will bring the track map up on screen, however, just so you can see where the driver is relative to what we're talking about on the track. So we're now on board with still Mirko Daltanic, Edward Foster as well, out doing a pacey lap. So you can see there, he's actually now gone fastest on our grid, 58.54. Hamish Gallagher doing a 6.7, Mirko Daltanic doing a 7.8. And we've got Scotty Rankin doing a 5.976. So as a big slide there on the second lap for Edward Foster, and that will mean he'll pull out of that lap. And that will be it for him, I believe, at a 58.54. So cracking pace there with Norm Clark, no slouch at 59.55. So he's a full second behind our pole sitter at this stage, provisional pole sitter at this stage, Edward Clark. So we'll jump on board with a couple of guys still out doing laps. So Scotty Rankin there in the Ghostbusters livery car. He's coming around to complete his second lap. And what's he going to do there? Can he improve on his time? Yes, he does, a 59.3, so bridging the gap a little bit there. We've also got Joshua Carroll-Walton. He's just finished his fast laps. He's done a 59.08, so currently sitting in 4th. And basically, other than Edward Foster bringing that around to finish that lap that won't count, Norm Clark, he's finishing with a big slide there. That's going to slow him down. So that second lap around for him not going to do a lot of damage. We've got Steve Clark in that Castrol livery car that I mentioned just before. Fantastic looking vehicle. He is out on his first flying lap. Jason Hardigan has done what looks like 2 laps, 1 incident point on that first lap around. So he's got to make this one count, and he has touched the wall again. So he's not going to get around to finish that lap. We'll stick with Stephen Clark at this stage and see where he gets to at the end of his first lap, as he just brings it around to the start-finish line to complete his first flying lap. And where does he bring the car? No, he did get an incident point on that lap as well, so that lap not counting. So we'll stay with him here as he gets around. Actually, we'll jump quickly. My apologies to Carl Withy, who had an incident point on his first lap around. Hadn't set a time yet as he comes around to conclude this lap. And where is he going to position that one? Yeah, he moves up to 7th spot, just in front of Matty Hunter and Stephen Clark, who is still coming around down the 3rd of our straights. And he's unfortunately run out of time there. So that is the end of qualifying. We had Lachlan Equizio not go out on the track. We've got Kai Sloggett joining us tonight as well. Michael Schroeder too, and none of those drivers actually managing to post a time before the conclusion of qualifying there. So bring up the grid on the screen here. We've got Edward Foster, our concurrent winner. 4 in a row is where we're at tonight, if he can get the job done. Followed by Hamish Gallagher, Mirko Dotanic, Joshua Carroll-Walton, Scotty Rankin in 5th, a great job from him. Norm Clark in 6th, Carl Withy in 7th, Matty Hunter in 8th, Stephen Clark in 9th, Matty Raymond rounding out our top 10. We've got Jason Hardigan, followed by Michael Schroeder, Lachlan Equizio and Kai Sloggett rounding out the 14 drivers on the grid this evening. And I generally don't make a lot of secrets about my favourite car on the track. It's one of the things that I do enjoy about what we do here, and it is that car on screen there. Livery of the evening for me is Stephen Clark, a great change up for him. Keep an eye out on Jason Hardigan there, starting towards the back of the field. That is unusual for him, and means he's going to definitely be a driver to keep an eye on as he battles his way through this field tonight. It's going to be, look, you can see there, it's quite a wide track in terms of 5 lanes on it. So we've got plenty of room for passing here. And I'm excited to see Gallagher up the front again this week. Having started from pit lane last week, wanting to see how he handles Edward Foster in this race. So we've got 70 laps tonight, and looking at around about that just under an hour for the race duration. So certainly a pit stop here. Will the drivers take tyres? That is a good question. We are time limited as well if we get a number of yellow flags, but had a lot of green flag running in this series, 75 consecutive laps of green flag running, in fact. So I'm not anticipating that the safety car is going to play a huge role, and I call it the safety car. The pace car is going to have a huge role in the race tonight. You can see there potentially someone not in position. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And we will, for the start of this one, we'll jump out into the blimp so we can have a good look at the field as they wind their way around. Certainly is 2 cars missing from our starting grid. Just trying to work out who it is who's gone. The pace car peels off and we are go, and it is Edward Foster off to a cracking start with Hamish Gallagher on the outside. We've got Norm Clark up into second place. However, Titanic doing a great job too off his start, and Joshua Carroll Walden down onto the inside of the track. He's going to pick positions back up again there as they come around into the end of turn one. I'm sorry, that was Carroll Walden on the outside there, and Titanic on the inside. Good start from Scotty Rankin as well, maintaining his fifth position off the grid. So we want to get around through this lap cleanly if we can. And it is Foster bringing us around. A big slide there from Hamish Gallagher. He has not managed to pull that up and has headed off into the infield. So it's now Foster from Clark, and Clark down on that inside line looking to get the job done, and he has done so. So he will move out to the outside of the track and take us around as our lap one leader in this race. Lots of shuffling around down in the pack there. You can see Gallagher picking up 6th spot after that one. Big slide as well from Foster. He's done well to hold on to that into the turn and to come out the other side still with the car nice and straight. So the biggest thing we've seen for him this couple of rounds is he's managed his tyres better than everyone else. And last week, that's ultimately what bought him the win. He managed his tyres in 3rd spot until we got through that pit window. Only took 2 tyres and then jumped out in front and took the win. So other drivers need to be aware of that and hopefully manage their way through to ensure that we've got some competition for Foster tonight. A few of the guys with big slides there as they get their way around the track. Track will grip up a little bit more as we get through this one. It's just showing there that Norm Clark's spread out a little bit, only 2/10, still well and truly in draft territory as we get around here. Some big slides, so it's going to be plenty of rubber on the track very shortly, as Carroll Walden is giving Foster the hurry up, and Clark likewise to Carroll Walden as Clark jumps down the inside there. Is he going to get the job done? Hamish Gallagher trying to pinch a position on his way through too. We're showing that Clark has made his way through on the inside there, and he will pick up the chase of Edward Foster here. Norm Clark, that is, not jumping away too far as yet, but that battle ensuing on behind him could mean that he gets a little bit of a breather out of this and breaks the draft. But there's 4 cars there. Clark, Carroll Walden, Gallagher and Titanic all contesting that 3rd position. And actually what has resulted is that Foster's gone with Clark at the front, and they've opened up about a half a second gap to that group of cars behind them. Again, it's a good time for us to mention now as we look at our largest field for a couple of weeks that there are still spots available. We've got a couple of weeks to go, and if you're looking to get some experience driving these awesome 87 cars in the Grand National Series, it's a good opportunity to get involved and get some time under your belt before whatever we're sure to announce shortly for the following series post the end of this one. As you see Edward Foster there take advantage, move down onto the inside of the track with Norm Clark leaving the door open, and Stephen Clark here trying to do the same thing and take advantage, and he's going to get the job done too. So that's a double pass there for Norm Clark, dropping 2 positions from 1st down to 3rd, and he's also exposed a little bit here to Carroll Walden and Gallagher behind him working together too. So Clark is going to have to do a little bit of defending to get himself a solid spot in this grouping. There's also a little battle developing behind where we've got Scotty Rankin and Jason Hardigan here. You can see Hardigan there just moving down the inside. Rankin doing a good qualifying job, getting into 5th position in the Ghostbusters liveried Chevrolet. And these two fighting it out nice and cleanly as they head up towards turn 2. Good job there from Hardigan to get through cleanly as well. Got Matty Raymond a little bit further down the field than we're normally used to seeing him as well in 9th. Mark Hunter currently in 10th position. And Carl Withy in 11th there, just getting the job done in that Copenhagen-sponsored Chevrolet as well. Michael Schroeder, again, new to the series, or certainly not new to the series, but new to our broadcast of the series, running in 12th. And for some reason, Lachlan Laquijo and Kai Sloggett have disconnected from the race. So jump back up front here where the Castrol livery of Stephen Clark has definitely made that car quicker. There's no question about it whatsoever. Got to be that Perkins Engineering adding into the mix there. But he is right up behind Edward Foster and giving him a hurry along for the lead as we head around about halfway through lap 7 of 70. Going to try and challenge him here. The guys have got to remember Foster a master at managing tyres too. So the fact that he's not out in front doesn't mean that you've got the benefit on him here. Probably better to try and just stick with him. We're only 7 laps in. It's about race management from here. Tyre management as well. If you can get away with taking 2 tyres, save yourself some time. I doubt anyone will dare try and get away without taking any tyres at all. But you never know how brave some may be to try and get away and get a win. As you can see there, Hamish Gallagher getting underneath Carol Walden as well, just in the back of the picture there. Jump on board with that battle there as Gallagher has got that job done. So we've got some nice pairs of cars here. The guys can definitely work together through this period of the race, rather than needing to desperately try and get something done as they get around the track. Hamish Gallagher, who we're on board with now, is actually the fastest man on the track so far tonight. He's done a 59.26 in the race. We've got some very close lap times between the rest, 57, 59, 60, 48, 49. So still technically the fastest man on the track with that 26. He's 2/10 up on anyone else around him. Got a couple of drivers here sitting back into the 1 minute mark as well, as Gallagher has made up the gap on Clark and Foster in front of him now, so he joins this lead pack battle as we head around to enter onto lap 10 of 70. So it's going to be hotly contested. There's no question about it. Looking forward to seeing when these guys manage to get their pit stops done. My spidey senses are telling me that Foster will probably outrun them all. Just the awareness for himself there in terms of making sure he gets the job done. So stick with us. We will certainly get to watch this one unfold. See there as well, Michael Schroeder has run into pit lane. He did have an off on lap 9, so in there to no doubt get some repairs done and get that car back out on track. Last lap around, these three drivers, I should say, almost identical on lap times. So just maintaining position at the moment. But you can see what they've done is to establish a near 2-second lead over Dautanic and Carol Walden, who are now fighting for position 4. So with Dautanic coming through the field after not getting through a clean qualifying lap, as he's got the job done there. So Carol Walden has dropped 1 spot from his qualifying position. You have to be careful, these guys, with the slide here. It's going to really affect their longevity, the tyre life for those cars. So just need to make sure that they manage their race as best they can. See Carol Walden here trying to duck back underneath Mirko Dautanic, and he's going to get the job done, I believe, as they head through turn 1. Oh no, as Dautanic has clipped the wall there. Carol Walden, I don't believe, got affected by that, other than where he was able to position that car on the track. And he will move ahead there with that damage to the right-hand rear end of Dautanic's car. So you can see them just sliding on the corners there, and you only need a slight miscalculation before that turns into a little more than you'd bargained for with the walls. So unfortunately paying the price there. Our gap here at the lead still the same. We've still got 1/4 of a second forward, 1/4 of a second rearwards of Stephen Clark in that Castrol livery Chevrolet. So Gallagher there closing the gap onto the back of Clark, and he is going to have a dive here down the inside. And Tom Warner says he's got the job done there. So Clark just relenting that little bit to try and make sure that he stays clean and doesn't get involved in anything this early on. As I say that, however, he's pulled right back up next to Hamish Gallagher. It almost looked like he gave him a tap there as well. So we'll just try and take his position back down the inside line here, and again gets that done relatively easily. So just switching positions with the draft, I think, there more than anything else, as Carl Withy and Michael Schroeder have Carl Withy and Matt Hunter continue their battle in 10th and 11th position. Just open up there to around about 2 seconds now. Norm Clark, Scotty Rankin and Jason Hardigan locked in a tight battle as well. This for positions 6, 7 and 8. And we'll stick with this one for a bit there as Scotty Rankin gets the job done down the inside of Matty Raymond on that Norm Clark, my apologies, on that attempt. So this one will stay alive for a little bit yet. These drivers all doing almost identical times, a 59, a 60 and a 62. So great driving from them. You can see there the battle just in front of them too, with Carol Walden and Dautanic. And then ahead of them, we can't forget about Foster, Clark and Gallagher, all with similar gaps between all of them, doing a great job here. The other thing to keep an eye on here is our race leaders now 3.5 seconds up the road as these guys continue to battle it out, but very close together still. So they're building a gap for themselves. A little bit of an opportunity to manage tyre where they can, as we see Clark here just pulling out of the draft to have a look. Let Foster know that he is there, and he's trying to go low side, but it's not going to quite work for him. The slide on Foster's car as well. Just having to be controlled there with a little bit of throttle and getting the job done. I'm going to jump on board actually now with Foster. He can take us around. Actually, you know what we'll do? We'll jump on with Steve Clark so we can have a little bit of a look at the back of that Foster car and their respective lines. So that was Stephen Clark taking us on a few laps around this track there. You can see a little bit of work involved in this one, not just a matter of on and off the throttle, as they do have to run the limiter a little bit as they go through turn 2 and turn 3. So while all that was happening, I was keeping my eye on this battle here with Hardigan and Scott Rankin getting involved now with Joshua Carroll Walden too in this battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. So we'll keep an eye on this. As I said, the lead pack ran nearly 4 seconds up the road. So these guys here wanting to still, again, work together a little bit where they can to make that gap back up. And increase their average lap pace. The slides are really going to affect these guys in terms of tyre life. If they can manage it, they will certainly save themselves some time in the pit lane, as Scott Rankin now all over the back of Jason Hardigan. Might be looking for a move here if he can down the inside going into turn 1. He's not quite close enough, I don't think, to get the job done, however, even with the draft. Big slide there from Hardigan's let Scott Rankin in, and he is less than a tenth behind. He'll probably have a look to duck down the inside here, yeah, and he will get that done. So that slide unfortunately costing Hardigan that position, and Scotty Rankin now out into the lead of this battle pack for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, albeit there's a little gap now developing between Carol Walden and Dowtanic. Hardigan here going to try and take that position straight back. Not quite going to have enough up on Scotty Rankin to get that job done. Scotty Rankin slams the door closed there on him, but he is right up behind him again, so pressure's on now for Rankin to maintain that position. And as we say that, Hardigan just runs the car a little wide, a little loose, and he's run that one a little slower out there. Scotty Rankin, I think, also almost touching the wall there. In fact, yeah, we do have an off track there, so he's just brushed the wall on the outside of the track there, getting a little bit loose. So he's running a reasonably high line. It's still mid-track, so that will be affecting his grip on corner exit, but still managing to try and keep his nose in front here of Jason Hardigan. Hardigan certainly has other ideas about it though, and as we come into turn 2, this last part of the track here, he does manage to get the job done. Oh, Scotty Rankin there ducks down onto the inside. I'm wondering if he is heading into pit lane. Is he? No, he is not. Still a little bit early for him to get in and get that done, so just pulling back into the stream there. Thanks very much for the follow, Michaela. We appreciate it. And still running a little high line there. He needs to get that car back down into the groove if he's going to keep up with these guys. It cost him another place there, running that high line with Dowtanic taking back 6th position from him as we stick on board with Jason Hardigan. I'm keeping an eye on the battle up the front here. It's opened up a little bit now. Clark and Foster still going neck and neck, but Hamish Gallagher's dropped off the back of this pack to the tune of around 2 seconds. It hasn't exposed him to the guys behind him, as they equally have lost some pace, but Gallagher there potentially managing tyres now in this part of the race, 25 laps in. About 10 laps away from halfway through this one, or less than 10 laps now away from halfway through this one. So Clark's still hassling Foster, but that won't bother him too much. He just wants to keep it clean and make it through to our pit stop. we see Matt Hunter entering pit lane to do his stop. That will probably be his stop through to the end of the race, although it'll be a little earlier than he would have liked. Jump back to Gallagher here in third. He actually is being caught by Hardigan, Carol Walden and Dautanic in this pack behind him. So he, having lost the toe of those lead drivers, is now exposed to this gaggle of cars behind him who are trying to chase him down and get that third spot on the podium. Ooh, Scotty Rankin there getting real wide, almost touching the wall again. But, just managing to keep it off the rocks. Good opportunity for us at this point in time to mention our sponsors for our stream, which are Aftershock PC. Ryan and the team out at Aftershock PC in St Kilda, Melbourne, do a fantastic job at putting together just about any sort of computer that you need, whether it be a entry-level gaming PC or a top-of-the-range streaming unit like the one we've got. I know at the moment they've got some ripping specials on with some huge discounts on a couple of different types of computers. I'm seeing there up to $700 or so off one of the models on their line. So if you're in the market for a new computer, or you were thinking about it, maybe you've just got your tax return back, might be the time, if you can afford it, to jump in and grab yourself a new PC to potentially even compete in one of our races. I just hear someone going off in the background there. No notification, so maybe just someone rubbing the wall. Yeah, it was Hamish Gallagher there. He is now well and truly exposed to Jason Hardigan behind him as they come around through the final corner there. Again, Gallagher running wide. He does seem to run that sort of wider line, but the banking here not favouring that this evening. I'd say that is definitely not deliberate. Maybe a little bit of damage there from that knock with the wall. Carol Walden's going to get the job done here as well, so that's a two-spot swing for Gallagher. We come out of this corner. Dautanic here also going to take advantage of it. So 3 spots now for Hamish Gallagher down the ranks as a consequence of that little rub with the wall. Scotty Rankin too, you're going to get the job done as well. So that damage to Gallagher's car really has affected it. He may end up pulling into the pits and trying to get that fixed so that he can get back out and be competitive again, because at this stage he is bleeding positions. Norm Clark going to get the job on him as well and get that job done. So Gallagher there slipping down from 3rd position right back to 8th. And I'd say Jason Hardigan. Who are we missing there? Stephen Clark. So Stephen Clark has done his pit transition. So he's pulled out of that 2nd spot and has done his service. So he's going to have to try and manage time. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll stick with Foster for a bit here to see when he blinks and goes into pit lane to get his service done. I'd say probably slightly early. I'm not sure if Clark's done that to try and get out of the draft from behind Foster or not, but we'll see whether or not that move pays off for him. You can see he's at the top end of the track at the moment. Foster coming around turn 1, so no draft for either of those drivers, so it will slow them down a little. Having said that, Foster's last lap was almost his fastest, so Just keep an eye on when Edward Foster does jump into pit lane. The battle still rages on behind him with Hardigan, Carol Walden and Daltanic all close together, but I do want to see when Foster decides to run in. Well, it certainly won't be this lap. So while he's on there, we'll just duck back to this battle behind him. Going with these three drivers here. We're on board with Carol Walden, but it's Hardigan and Daltanic either side of him, trying to get the podium sorted out, albeit still 38 laps, 37 laps to go in this one. Hamish Gallagher has jumped into pit lane, having bled a lot of positions. He's down in 8th position, as we spoke about earlier, so the gap now very close between these three drivers. Carol Walden doing a great job to put Hardigan under pressure, just on 1/10 of a second. So draft here, you're going to play a lot of impact into how this one starts to pan itself out. So still waiting to see whether or not Foster does take his pit stop shortly. He is coming towards the end of lap 33. I think he'll be trying to hold out as long as he can. Whether he can get to lap 40 or not by fuel, I'm not completely sure, but the longer he can go on these tyres, he'll have a look at how they have worn and whether or not he needs to change them. So may end up doing another two-stop strategy, or having another two-tyre pit stop like he did last week, I should say. Having said that, though, he's 7 seconds in front, and adding the extra 2 tyres on with the ultimate improvement in overall lap pace, not having to manage the tyres, might mean that he just gets the job done anyway. As we Matt Hunter in pit lane. Hamish Gallagher back out on track. He is 56 seconds down. Stephen Clark, our highest pit stop taker at this stage, was running second at the time he took that stop. Now back in 9th, where he did start this race, but he is going to certainly improve that. Scotty Rankin in pit lane doing his service. I want to try and see if any of these guys are taking 2 or 4 tyres. We may have missed it. So up goes the left-hand side of that car. So Scott Rankin taking 4 tyres on the Ghostbusters Chevrolet, and off he goes out of pit lane. So he's done his service and will be right to go until the end of this race in approximately 34 laps time, as Edward Foster does go around to put him a lap down. However, Foster is yet to pit. So Rankin, Gallagher, Clark, Hunter all having done their pit stops. Daltanic now in pit lane doing his stop. Does he take 4 tyres as he pulls into pit lane? Let's have a look here. Looking to see if that left-hand side, as you're looking at it, goes up in the air or not. Yes, it does. So he's going to do a full set of tyres on that one. And again, given how early it is, or relatively early it is in the race, the 4 tyres definitely the way to go. I feel like Foster's coming into pit lane. Yes, he is there. You could hear it in the car. So our race leader, Edward Foster, now into pit lane to get his pit lane service done. He's going to be followed in by Joshua Carol Walden as well. Leaves Jason Hardigan out in the lead of this race. Just want to see, Foster did only take 2 tyres last week. I don't know that he's going to do that this week with 33 laps to go. Up goes the working side of the car. And Norm Clark in there as well. And no, so definitely taking both sides tonight. Foster better to be safe than sorry. Harding and Raymond now out in front in this race, but still yet to do their pit stops. How far will they run before they do their pit stop? So let's work for Stephen Clark. He's actually out in front now of Edward Foster, technically on the adjusted order, but he's only got about a 2.5 second gap. And older tyres for Foster, given he stopped on, for Stephen Clark, given he stopped on lap 28, with Foster obviously stopping on lap 36. So that will play a part as we get towards the tail end of this one. And then comes Hardigan to do his service. Would expect to see Matty Raymond come in as well. Just waiting for him to make his way around that final turn. And no, he's actually not. He's going to stay out. So he will be our effective race leader now. But yeah, definitely going to be Stephen Clark who's going to jump into the actual race lead here once we cycle through our pit stops. And he is going to have a chasing Edward Foster behind him for the last 32 laps or 31 laps of this race. Hardigan in pit lane now, just about to leave, dropping down to 5th, and he's going to comfortably get out in 5th place. Is he? It's going to be a change over there with Carol Warden going in front of him. He may not even manage to get out in front of the Titanic. The pit exit or control line on pit exit here, a little shorter because of the banking that greets the drivers once they leave pit lane. So, but Hardigan there does get out in front of the Titanic, about a second further back down the road. So other than this, the field has spread a little bit, which always seems to happen in these cars post pit stop. Steve Clark here, our effective race leader, he has a gap of 1, you can see him there, 1.75 seconds back to Edward Foster. Absolutely, Gail. We've been looking forward to this. I think Edward's going to probably get it done. He's going to have the younger tyres. He took a full set this week. And that means with the fresher tyres and Steve Clark dropping in on lap 28, I should say, that Edward's going to be in a strong position here to challenge for the lead. Only 1.7 seconds the gap between second and third, respectively, as a big slide there for Steve Clark. Matty Raymond now pulling in to pit lane to get his service done. So Steve Clark will assume the lead of this race, with 30 laps or 29 laps to go now, and Edward Foster closing him down, gap down there to 1.5 seconds after that slide for Foster, for Clark, my apologies, as he came around on to the back straight. Just looking there to see where Raymond's going to come out. He's doing his pit, and he's doing 4 tyres as well. All the drivers taking 4 tyres tonight, so Carl Withy is in 3rd position on track, but he is yet to do his service as well. Bit of a slide there, but that's pretty normal for these guys at this track, getting the pace out of the cars with that slide through the corner there. Do love the new livery on Clark's Mobile. It looks brilliant. In fact, I think Larry Perkins did run that livery at Calder Park. In fact, it might have even been Brad Jones ran that livery at Calder Park when the guys were running at the Thunderdome. So it actually has been run on an oval track, I think, in real racing. So a little bit of history. As you can see there, the gap closing down a little bit further, down to half a second now. Foster's really going to challenge him on the next lap, I feel. Just try and pick up where it's quicker there. It just looks like those tyres hurting a little bit as Foster not sliding quite so much through the corner as Clark is. 42 laps without a caution period as well. So again, another great round from our drivers to give us extended periods of green flag racing. I think that takes us out now to well over 100 laps without a caution period. So good from our drivers to be able to do that. Foster now down at 0.25 of a second behind Clark in this chase for the lead. For those who've just joined us, Clark, our race leader, pitting on lap 28, so his tyre's a bit older now, and he has moved across to the inside. Foster goes driving right around the outside, and unless Clark can get back up a little bit on the inside here, then Foster's going to get the job done with those younger tyres. Clark looking like he's running out of grip a little bit already, which is concerning for him with 27 laps to go. As Equijo is just listing as being in pit lane. Given that he hasn't completed a lap tonight, I think there may be a small error there with our timing monitor, so just ignore that one. And the field has spread. In fact, our closest battle now, other than this battle for the lead, is actually for 9th and 10th between Scott Rankin and Carl Withy. So Carl Withy having done his pit lane transition along with Scott Rankin. And Withy, they're actually getting the job done. But I want to stick with this lead battle here to see whether or not Clark can jump back onto the back of Foster with the draft and the benefit of the draft down the straight there. Not quite close enough, as we saw there. The drivers do downshift into that corner and then drive back out of it. So this track using a little more rear tyre than perhaps some of our traditional oval tracks, where you're able to just roll out of the throttle to make your way around the ends of the circuit. Here having to get off and change gears and accelerate again through the gears. So maybe that costing the drivers a little bit in their tyre wear. So somehow, and I'm not sure how, but Equijo has actually jumped out into the race. So just saw him down on the infield there. So I'm not sure if he joined or had a disconnection issue or something like that, and just didn't make it out to the start grid. But he has joined the race. He hasn't actually completed a lap yet. So we remain less than actually less than a quarter of a second between these two drivers. So not hurting Clark too much to be the following driver here, but he needs to stay close enough if he's going to try and save tyres a little and challenge as we get to sort of the last 5 laps of this race. Jump back quickly to this battle between Rankin and Whiffy, as Scott Rankin there has moved back up one spot into 9th from Whiffy, who has dropped a little bit of time there. Didn't see any incidents at all to note, but feel there, yeah, you can just see it. Whiffy getting real wide on the entry into turn 1, so... my apologies, into turn 2 even. So that there now has opened up a gap between them. So it's down to these two gentlemen here in terms of close battles for us to cover over the last 25 laps. Or what will be the last 24 laps. Very much having to get out of the throttle going into that corner just to keep the car from sliding too much. Still have to manage tyres a little bit here through to the end of the race, but certainly not as much as they were through the latter part. Before they jumped in through the pits and got a new set of boots on these cars, particularly Clark, who pitted 8 laps earlier than our race leader Foster, so Foster definitely going to have the better rubber at the end of this one. So I did mention at the top of the broadcast, we do still have room in this series for more drivers, and albeit there's only 2 races to go, it's a good time to jump in and get some practice in these without the pressure of having to perform to try and potentially win yourself a championship. It's obviously a reasonably strong class in terms of the driver parity here, with some good groups getting together in terms of pace. So if you're concerned that you may not be quick enough to run at the front, don't worry. I don't believe that you will have issues finding a group to run with for the evening. So do jump onto the ANZCAR Facebook page. The administrators, including our race leader, do a fantastic job across 3 different series in the ANZCAR, shall we say, ANZCAR stable, and basically can cater for any type of oval track racing that you're looking to do. I know we'd love to see a much bigger field in this one as well. Another 10 or so cars would make the racing that a little bit more close for us, particularly as these races get on and the field spread. So jump on board and have a look at the guys at ANZCAR and what they are doing. They've been doing it for a long time now and do a fantastic job in the series that they run. So definitely, if that's what you're looking for, the place to start. Still see just teetering around 0.2 of a second between Foster and Clark. Clark's definitely got better drive. Foster's definitely got better drive out of that tighter corner, opening up the gap there. But he's really got to try and break the draft if he's going to get a gap on Clark. He's out to just on 0.4 of a second now. The rest of our field there now quite spread out. Albeit if you are racing and you're going to race somebody, I mean, these guys are a lap down, Hardigan and Schroeder, but they're doing a good job of keeping things interesting while they are not racing for position. Lapping close together and giving themselves the opportunity to have a little bit of fun. Jump on board with Mirko Daltanic as well as he puts through the big slide. And he's got a little bit of work to do, 1.8 seconds behind Joshua Carroll Walden in 3rd position. So if he's looking to get back on that step, still needs to make up that gap to get back onto the back of Carroll Walden. We did see last week a lot of punctured right-hand or blown out right-hand front tyres. Maybe that's why the guy's not gambling so much this week with the tyre strategy and getting the job done by changing all 4 tyres in the pit stop and trying to manage those tyres now through to the end of the race. Got Norm Clark in 5th. He's had another good consistent evening. He's up 1 spot from his qualifying position in 6th to 5th place in this one. And that, with Matty Raymond right behind him, that will help him address a little bit of the gap between them for 3rd outright on the table, with Norm Clark 12 points behind. My apologies, 72 points behind Raymond in front of him. Raymond equally is 60 points behind Hamish Gallagher, but Hamish Gallagher is running in this same pack. So this little group that we're in really are the ones that are challenging for 2nd and 3rd outright in this championship. Foster at this stage looks like he is going to be unbeatable. So if they can make up just 1 or 2 positions here in the balance of the race, these 3 drivers, Clark, Raymond and Gallagher, then it will potentially have the ability to juggle the order on our championship standings as we sit. Eighteen laps to go, just on 0.4 of a second between our leader Foster and Stephen Clark behind him. Of course, after this one, tomorrow night we have Super GT Thursday on FGM eCast. We are live from 6 PM tomorrow with the NZSR series from one of the best places to race a car, Spa. And that is going to be a cracking event there. Back to still running a traditional format there with their 30-minute race. And straight after that, we jump into the Australian Endurance E-Championship at Sebring. So a good night of racing tomorrow night. I'll be joined by Scotty Rankin, who is racing tonight in this very event for our Super GT Thursday, starting from 6, finishing around 10 o'clock tomorrow night. So if you're looking for something to have on in the background, definitely jump into that one and see and contribute to the chat. We always love having everyone in the chat getting involved and letting us know what they think about what's going on in the race. So do jump in and get involved in that one as well. Equasio's back in the pit lane again, but I think he may have Ejected from the server. No, he's showing there as moving again down pit lane. So maybe just using this one for a little bit of time in the car, which is not a bad idea as we get towards the end of this championship. We have 14 laps to go this time around. But, very loose in the background there, Steve Clark. Didn't notice any incident about him touching the wall there, so maybe starting to struggle badly with those tyres. You can see he's dropped right off the back here of Edward Foster at the front of the pack. The gap now spreading to just on 2 seconds, so he was very loose there coming out of turn 1 and managed to catch it, but it's definitely cost him some time. His tyres 8 laps older than those on Foster, and he may have spent the bank account on them early, just trying to make sure that he got back out in front of Foster after that pit lane to try and build a gap. But the strategy, albeit a good one, not paying off for him tonight at this stage. Gap widening now of 4.7 seconds now to Foster in front. So he's all but got this win stitched up. So that's going to be a great outcome for him. And that will basically, if it wasn't already secured before tonight's race, that will secure the championship for Foster. So Clark has actually gone into pit lane. So just keep an eye here. He's gonna, I'd say he's gonna need tyres, particularly the right-hand pair at the very least, just to get that thing to the end competitively, without ending up putting it into the wall and not finishing the race at all. So with fresh tyres, he'll probably make the gap back up. Yeah, just taking right-hand tyres there. So we're right, just struggling with those outside tyres and definitely not wanting to end up with a puncture. Yeah, you're right, Carl. That's why he's gone in and taken those 2 tyres just to try and keep things going. He'll now be quicker than the guys in front of him, so he's got about 26 seconds to make up. 10 laps to go. Unlikely he's going to make, I don't think, his way back up into second place. The gamble not there, quite working there for him. So just stick with him here and see what he can do. He's going to get back up on Gallagher. Gallagher pitting on lap 31, so he should manage to get that position back and then quickly behind, in front of them. Whether or not he can catch Matty Raymond, who's just crossed the start-finish line, as we also see Lachlan Wejo just jump back in as well. Thanks very much there, Michaela. We appreciate the like. So that gap now coming down, 1.8 seconds. Gonna quickly jump on with Hamish Gallagher here and just see if this camera here will give us an idea of the gap between the two drivers. It's a little bit hard to see there. As Gallagher comes around, you can just see behind him Stephen Clark making up that gap. There we go, that's the better view there, just giving us that idea. So, going to jump into the draft, I'd say, on the straight coming. So, after turn one, probably jump into the draft there of Gallagher and he's got real loose coming onto the main straight there, and that's cost him time again. In fact, he's touched the wall there as well. So, still, having said that, only a second behind. It didn't cost him as much as it may have, because albeit he got wide, managed to still keep it off the wall. So gap now down to under, just on 3/4 of a second between these two. So Gallagher will be feeling the heat as he heads down to turn 3. He'll get through here, and the benefit of the draft will help Clark make one of those positions back up. And let's not forget the fact that Clark did start the night in 9th position, so it's been a good drive from him anyhow. And yeah, definitely quicker there and driving right underneath Gallagher from a long way back. So Clark going to get the job done here down the main straight and into turn 1, and then the question is, can he catch up to Matty Raymond and get a top 5 position? Matty Raymond 4.5 seconds up the road. So with 8 laps to go, he probably will. He was over a second quicker on that lap, Stephen Clark, than Matty Raymond. 8 laps to go, only 4 seconds. Maths wasn't my strong suit at school, but those numbers look pretty good to me. So Norm Clark up ahead of him. Again, probably a little bit of a stretch, but we'll stay with this battle for the minute as Edward Foster now a solid 13 seconds out into the lead of this race. So there is no bothering him, it would seem. And just refocus the camera there, sorry, onto Stephen Clark as he's brought that gap down to Matty Raymond in front of him again by just over half a second. So we're looking at 3.8 seconds now between Clark and Raymond for the 5th position battle. Stranger things have happened. He could end up getting into 4th place. It's 8 seconds up the road. We've only got 7 laps to go, but he's definitely the quickest man on the track at the moment, Clark, benefiting from those fresh tyres that he put, admittedly only 2 on the outside, but that is the working side of the car on this anti-clockwise circuit. So he's going to get the benefit of those through to the end. 4 tyres would have seen him a few seconds a lap quicker, I think, than just about everyone, but the 2 tyres definitely making anywhere between half a second to a second lap's difference for all of the cars in front of him. So we'll stay with him here as we get down to 6 laps to go. Race leader Edward Foster about halfway through his 65th lap of this track, with a 70 lap race here tonight at Pocono. It's a good little track actually. I've not done any circuit racing, any oval track racing here, and looking forward to giving it a go actually. It definitely provides something a little bit different to every other track. The main game this week is at Daytona, as well. So another good track for us amateurs to go and have a crack at. So big slide there again from Clark, but 2 seconds now the gap to Raymond in front. He's not going to get the job done on Norman Clark, I don't think, but he's definitely going to catch Matty Raymond and get himself back up to 5th position. So that'll be an improvement of 4 if he gets the job done over his qualifying position in 9th. Let's keep an eye on the lap times here. Raymond last time around doing a 1 minute 0.23 and Clark doing a 59.15, so over a second quicker. As we head round the last bend towards the conclusion of this lap, and you'd think Matty Raymond here with the draft will be definitely under attack from Stephen Clark as they head down into turn 1. A gap now down to a quarter of a second and less, and Raymond here under attack, sticking to the high side, and Clark again pushing hard will probably get the job done on the drive out here. No, choosing to stick back in and grab the draft, but into turn 2 the a challenge, I imagine, again down the inside here. No, just the door being closed here. Matty Raymond deciding to try and defend this one, and definitely not giving it up easily to Stephen Clark. Clark all over the back of him there, almost even getting too close to the back of him there, and he now will take that position and move himself up into 5th. 5 seconds up the road, Norm Clark, the next car in front of him, 3 laps to go. That would seem to be an almost impossible task. And but a good recovery drive there, having to duck in and take tyres, having pit earlier than everyone else. So we'll jump on board with our race leader, Edward Foster here, who is going to get the job done yet again this week. And he's run a good race here. He hasn't had absolutely all his own way, but as usual, so strong out of the pit stops. And once again, being able to manage his tyres through to lap 35 and then take the pit and basically run away with it thereafter, with a good battle being put up by Stephen Clark, but Clark unfortunately running out of tyres before the end of this race. Scotty Rankin there in behind him, a lapped car, but a good run from Scott tonight. He's new to the series and struggled a little bit with the first couple of rounds, but he seems to have picked up his rhythm over the last couple of rounds, and he's now having some good consistent results. He's going to finish inside the top 10 tonight and put in a good qualifying effort as well, qualifying 5th. So congratulations to him, a good job, well done, and hope to see him continue through the series when it comes around again. As we're on our final lap of this 70-lap race from Pocono. And we're going to have to look back through the records, but I reckon that we have now run over 150 laps of green flag racing in this series. So a great job, as I mentioned earlier, to these drivers to keep it clean and mean that everyone gets plenty of time under the green flag to work on and improve their craft, or as we've seen with Foster and Clark for majority of this race, battle cleanly and freely for the race, as Foster here brings it across the line to take another win in the ANZCAR Grand National Series at Pocono. Congratulations to him and well done. see Joshua Carroll Walden. He's about to come around and take second place in this one, and not too far behind him as well is Mirko Dautanic, his strongest finish for a few weeks. So congratulations to those two drivers as well, as we jump back on board with Foster, who will enjoy another lap around this fantastic circuit. And the triangle, it's an interesting place. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more stuff at this circuit as we continue to do more and more of the NASCAR broadcasting. Thanks, Carl. Thanks very much for joining us. As usual, we really appreciate your support on the stream every week, week in, week out. Thank you very much. Do the usual here, and he'll head down the straight, and I'm pretty sure he normally drives it back down pit lane. So as there's been a crash there on the inside, Scotty Rankin just deciding that it was a good time to destroy that car. And Foster finishing out his race.
For a sec.
I'm just joined now by our race winner, still just circulating around the track, but we thought we'd jump on board and enjoy your lap of glory. Another great win tonight, Edward, for you, and not all your own way tonight, but once again, the strategy through the pit stops definitely giving you the better car towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like it was one of those where we struggled with, like we could see in practice, that if we were going to run the kind of laps we were running in practice, the right front was just not going to last. So, yeah, we just kind of tried to settle into a decent race pace, back up the braking points, etc., etc. Look after the tyre. I was quite happy to let whoever wanted to lead ahead of me lead. Norman got through, got a few laps in the lead. I kind of went to get underneath him because I had a bit of a run sort of near the start, and then just completely screwed the braking up and got a bit of a Tokyo drift moment. But apart from that, it was, yeah, fairly straightforward, good fun. Good fun racing up the front with Sandman and stuff. So yeah, it was really cool.
And I think that basically secures the championship for you with 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, look, it'd be pretty hard to lose it from here. I think it's still mathematically possible, especially if we start to get some larger fields and there's a possibility of me finishing, sort of 20th or whatever. I think that's still a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it's looking fairly good.
And Josh, a good run for you tonight as well, up 2 spots from your qualifying position, and good to see you be able to get a nice consistent one in tonight after a couple of tough weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, coming into tonight, didn't really know what to expect. Got out there in practice, and yeah, the car was a real handful. But yeah, thankfully got on top of it, and yeah, that first half of the race was pretty. There was definitely some pretty good racing in there, pretty good battles, but yeah, the second half was pretty lonely, and yeah, I kind of suspected that Sandman would have to stop again, that Stephen Clark would have to stop again, and yeah, he did. So yeah, pretty much just a stroll to the finish line in that second half of the race.
Yeah, we did question whether or not he was going to be able to make it the whole way. We obviously saw last week a few blowouts on the last lap, as you would well know. So we knew he was going to probably stop again, and he did well. He battled back up to 5th place, but obviously not able to keep the pace with Foster at the front there with those tyres pitting, 8 laps earlier than the rest of the field. So, but look, at the end of the day, strategy plays into your hands, and a fantastic, strong result to bring home second for you tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was pretty much a straightforward strategy, to be honest. Like, we were still doing very, very quick lap times towards the end of both stints. So, yeah, there wasn't really much, that could have been done in terms of strategy. But yeah, just a very good, consistent race from myself, and yeah, I'm fairly happy with P2.
Congratulations, and Mirko, a good result for you as well, bringing in P3 in the Black Beast. managing to get the job done there as well. Not quite sure what's gone on there, not able to talk to us there, but Mirko's done a fantastic job to bring home third place tonight as well, with a good mid-pack battle there for a majority of that first half of the race, as Josh touched on. So certainly...
Have you got it?
Oh, you are. There you are. Beautiful. Oh. We've got you. No, you're all right. Just a good, strong result for you tonight, bringing home third position.
Yeah, it was a good result. I got fortunate, really. I saw a couple of boys had bad luck, Clarkey and Jason Hardigan, and just brought it home, really. Yeah. It's
and you've been there or thereabouts pretty much since we started broadcasting 4 weeks ago. So, but as I said, it's good to see you get onto the podium at this late stage of the series and keep things going.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. It's fun to make it onto a podium, even though I struggled near the end there, just driving by myself, just with the shifts. I was losing a bit of pace, but it was all good.
No, well, definitely an interesting track. As I said last week, Pocono, this is our first time here at the Triangle, and it's good to jump on board with a couple of you guys and watch how you make your way around the track. Definitely a little bit more into it than just rolling out of the throttle and getting the turns done. So it was good for us to be able to see, and that mid-pack battle with those sort of 4 or 5 cars that you both were involved in at that early part of the race was some good close racing. And I was commenting as well on the stream, I think we've gone, don't quote me on it, but it's somewhere over 150 laps of consecutive green flag racing. So given how close that mid-pack is week after week, that's a credit to you guys and the way you get about doing what you're doing in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's always fun racing those guys. I mean, we race in other ANZCAR races as well, so we all know each other pretty well, and we're pretty respectful to each other. So it's good fun racing these boys.
Does make a difference. And with that, we're already, believe it or not, only 2 weeks to go in the ANZCAR series. So almost bringing this one to the end. But we've got 2 interesting races certainly left. I'm looking forward to the last round when we head to Watkins Glen to see how you guys go around the circuit. But next we've got 85 laps at Michigan. Again, another track that I haven't seen a lot of. So what are we looking to expect when we head to Michigan next week?
Michigan, I can't say too much for this car. I know in the Cup car it's flat out. It's pretty much flat out in all the other stock cars, but I'm picking it in this car. It might not be.
It won't be. It won't be.
It's going to be fun.
It'll be a little bit of I think it's going to have the effect of keeping the cars close, but there's going to definitely be tyre concerns around there, I think.
Is it a much shorter track, is it, and the banking a bit flatter, or?
No, it's actually quite a big track. It's a bit shorter than Pocono. Okay. But the banking is a lot higher, so you're going to see a lot higher average speed, a lot less sort of difference between the top and minimum speed. So that's going to have the knock-on effect of keeping everyone together. The draft is fairly powerful there too, not like Watkins Glen, for example, or Dover or something like that, where it makes no difference. But I don't think you're going to see draft packs forming, but it's probably going to keep the field a little bit closer than we saw tonight. And I think it's probably going to be down to the guy who is able to really keep his pace up throughout an entire stint. It's probably going to drive away with it.
So managing tyres is going to be important.
Definitely.
No, well, that's definitely on the cards next Wednesday night again, as we are lucky enough to bring the ANZCAR Grand National Series for the penultimate round as we head to Michigan there. And as you can hear from the guys, it's going to be, by the sounds of things, a high-paced event. So looking forward to bringing you that one. That does wrap up our streaming for your Wednesday evening. So thank you to everyone who has joined us, those who gave stars and all that sort of stuff. We really appreciate the support as we continue to grow our channel. Tomorrow night, as I mentioned earlier, we do have GT Super Thursday on our channel starting at 6 p.m. with the NZSR guys coming from Spa for their 30-minute sprint race, followed by the Australian Endurance Championship, which is headed to Sebring for a 2-hour run there, finishing in the dark. So Do join us for those 2 rounds. I'll be joined again by my partner in crime, Scotty Rankin, for those 2 broadcasts. And once again, thanks for joining us on your place for ePace, the FGM eCast network. We appreciate your support and good night.